All right, here we go. It's a brand new Flyers Daily for the 31st of March, last day of the calendar month of March, 2024. Flyers Daily is always presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live as the Flyers are coming off what is a 5-1 defeat against the Chicago Blackhawks in a game where you're going to hear John Tortorella. I don't play Torts post-game a tremendous amount on the podcast because I like to say a lot of words a lot of times. But on this occasion, I think that he sums up his team's performance pretty good. He called it rock bottom, that his team flat out stunk in the game and that they look gassed. And I agree with every one of those assessments from the head coach. And look, it's been 15 games in 30 days. They did not navigate the 15 games in 30 days well. They just didn't. You had the gauntlet in there where they got 6 points in those 7 games against teams like Toronto twice, Boston, the New York Rangers, Carolina, and Florida. But since then, you had two very winnable games against inferior opponents in Montreal and Chicago. And they came out of those 2 games with 0 points. And frankly, in the game last night, they got drubbed. They outshot Chicago. I don't give a damn. Who cares about shots? Enough with this shot stuff. It's ridiculous. They outshoot them 30-24. Doesn't matter. You end up losing the game 5-1. No empty net goals. We'll get to the particulars on the game. Then I want to talk about the month. I want to talk about a shock paddle way to hook up the jumper cables to the team for Monday before they have 3 days off. Then we'll play Torts, and then we'll probably get out of here. All right, so let's start with the game. Flyers Blackhawks last night at Wells Fargo Center. Flyers go down, and they go down early in the game. Just over 2 minutes into the game, the first goal comes, and it's a wrap play. It's Lukas Reichel who ends up getting the wrap goal at 2:01 of the first period. And originally, Sam Ersson gets left his glove hand side coming from post to post and makes the initial save, but then Reichel stays with it, gets another chance, and he's able to put it under the toque blade of Sam Ersson. So the reason I don't like the goal is pretty simple because it's one of the things I hate about skate on post. So skate on post, my arm's the post, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the skate blade is on the post like this, and there's a gap underneath it between the skate blade and the bottom, and that's a gap that's there. And also, it doesn't create a good seal. And you see that Reichel puts the puck into that spot. Did he do it purposely? Probably not, but the spot was there and the puck goes in. If you don't go skate on post, now skate on post, it gives you an advantage in a lot of situations for a goaltender because you can push off the post and get a tremendous amount of explosion. Say if you're on your left side, your skate's on the post, you push off over to your right and elevate to your feet. If your skate is inside the post, so it would be like this, then you've got a perfect seal along the post. So for wrap plays, it's good to have skate inside post. For plays that are dead angles, it's good to have skate on post so you can push off to the other side. But this play, Sam Ersson goes skate on post, and it ends up going in. That's number one. That's first goal. 17-minute mark. Philip Kurashev picks up the goal, his 16th of the season. That puts the Capitals up 2-0 in the game. So we head to the second period. Flyers, I think, only had 6 shots in the first period. They come out in the second, and 17 seconds in, Tyson Forster scores. Beautiful shot, by the way. Pulls the puck from out far into his feet, uses the defender as a little bit of a screen to hide the release from Soderblom, and he beats him low blocker. Perfectly placed shot, about 14 inches off the ice, low blocker. One of the most difficult places for a goalie to make a save on a good shot. So Flyers cut the lead in half. Right after that, the shift after that, Travis Konechny hits the post. Doesn't go in. Then moments later, Flyers end up on the power play. Power play goes nowhere. It deflates the team. Eventually, Chicago goes on the power play later in the period. At 17:28, they score. They make it 3-1. Foligno, 17th of the season. So the power play, I think, really was a deflating factor. It's been a huge, obviously, disappointment this entire year. It's been a disaster. Foligno gets the power play goal, and also you look at it, and the PK has really struggled of late, which has been a huge strength for this team. A lot of that PK strength also comes with the strength of goaltending, which has not been a strength of late. So they get down 3-1, you end the period, and you start the third period exactly where you started the second, down 2 goals. Flyers looked tired, physically, emotionally, mentally. And at 9:09, Joey Anderson picks up a goal, and then at 14:33, Mackenzie Entwistle picks up a goal, and your final score is 5-1 as the Blackhawks come in and beat the Flyers. And a huge missed opportunity at 2 points in the standings on what was a very important night because a lot of other teams were in action last night. The Islanders, they lost. The Caps won, or the Caps didn't win. They went to overtime and a shootout, lost in the shootout to Boston, but they got a point. So now they tie the Flyers in points, but they still have 2 games in hand. Detroit played yesterday. They had an overtime loss. They got a point. So they're 2 points back, but they have a game in hand. So things are really, really tight here. And maybe unnecessarily so when you look at the missed opportunity of the Montreal game and this game against Chicago. But you still, like I'm trying to still make sense of all of this. And I knew this month was going to be very difficult because of the gauntlet and because of 15 games in 30 days. That was an expectation I had set for myself going into this month. Now, the way it's played out, it hasn't been good. It has not been good because the team they look so worn down right now. And rightfully so. They've played a lot of hockey and they've played a lot of high emotion hockey. We get that. They got to find a way to recharge it, hook the jumper cables up somehow, and reshock themselves. They've got a game Monday, then you have 3 days off. Game Monday's huge, too. It's against the New York Islanders. So I go into the game Monday, and I did a whole episode yesterday. You guys, I hope you saw it. If you didn't see it, we had Kevin Woodley on from In Goal Magazine, talked about how difficult it is to jump from the KHL to the NHL for a goaltender like Ivan Fedotov, and how he's got to work on communication with his team. There's a lot to do. I put him in the game tomorrow night. I put him in the game against the New York Islanders. And you may go, you just sanctioned the whole episode. Well, first of all, that was to not start yesterday. And ideally, in an ideal world, the Flyers won yesterday. I'd play Harrison on Monday, and I wouldn't play Fedotov till either Friday or Saturday in the back-to-back this weekend coming up against Buffalo and Columbus. But desperate times call for desperate measures. There's 7 games left. Sam Ersson and the entire team looks exhausted. So I put the big Russian in. And I go, you know what? Get in there, big fella. Maybe the team responds with some energy. My understanding is when members of the team, players, saw that his contract was terminated in the KHL and that he was coming over, there was a lot of excitement. So I think that could charge a team for Monday's game. He'll play on adrenaline. You'll be fine. And you just get after it. You put him in there. You play him Monday against the New York Islanders. I don't know what they're going to do. But if my gut was telling me, knowing John Tortorella, Kim Dillabaugh, and the situation, and hearing Torts that you'll hear in a couple minutes in the press conference, and seeing where they are and what the situation is, I'd say it's a 90% chance he plays in that game on Monday. I really think he plays in the game coming up tomorrow. I think it's the NHL debut. That's what my gut tells me on all of the things of consideration. And I am all for it. All for it, given the situation. Now, the month of March, it was not kind to the Flyers. When you look at the month, and again, 15 games in 30 days, you go all the way back to March 1st when it started against Washington, and how it played out all the way throughout. It was a very busy month. There's some key numbers that really tell the story of the month of March for the Philadelphia Flyers. And, well, here's the numbers total. So you look at the entire month, the Flyers went 5-7-3. They scored 36 goals. They gave up 58 goals. They scored 6 power play goals. They had 1 shorthanded goal. They, by the way, scored 6 power play goals on 43 opportunities. The power play at points in this month actually wasn't bad. But overall, again, a record of 5-7-3. So a total of 13 points of a possible 30. So not a good month and a very busy month. And you had some really tough opponents. Washington, you would consider that a tough opponent. St. Louis had been playing better. They beat Florida on the road 2-1. They beat Toronto in the month. They beat Boston in the month. But overall, it just wasn't enough wins when you consider the loss against Montreal 4-1 and the 5-1 loss last night. And some of the games, they just gave up way big numbers of goals. It started off with that Washington game on that Friday night. And you guys know I did not like that game. It was a 5-2 loss where they went into the second period leading in that game. And they gave up a 7 spot against Tampa Bay in a 7-0 defeat. They gave up 6 twice, once against the Leafs and once against the Bruins in back-to-back games. They gave up 6 goals against the Rangers in a 6-5 loss, and that game ticked me off because I thought they should have 2 points in that game, 2-1 going into the third. They gave up 4 on Thursday and then 5 last night. The number that matters about the month is 22. Actually, let me rephrase that. The number that matters about the month is minus 22. That's what they were goal differential for the month. 36 goals for, 58 goals allowed. Minus 22. Now, if they're going to make the playoffs and get the ship righted, they got to figure that out. Hopefully, Ivan Fedotov helps that. Getting Nick Seeler back last night, hopefully that helps that. Hopefully, Jamie Drysdale's coming back. Hopefully, Sean Couturier can play more minutes. I mean, it looks daunting right now. But for the people, the dirt and shovel brigade that's been hanging out all year, they're loving this. They're back to, this team couldn't beat Montreal. This team couldn't beat Chicago. Look, if you're going to get in the playoffs, it's going to be predicated on 82 games. Do they get in? I don't know. I have no idea if they get in. What I know is that the Washington Capitals got 1 point yesterday, and these teams really haven't taken advantage of it. And you may go, well, if you lose to Montreal and you lose to Chicago, you don't deserve to get in. But, I almost said a bad word. BS. You get in based on the 82 games. So stop with this. If you lose to Chicago, you don't deserve it. That's total and complete cop-out bull. You know what? It just is. You're going to lose to bad teams in the season. Is it good that they lost to Chicago last night? No, it sucks. You can't lose to Chicago 5-1. But if you get in, you get in. And it's based on 82 games. It's not based on 74 or losing to a crap-ass team in Chicago and getting pushed around on your home ice. How they respond is all that matters going forward. I hated last night's game. I did not like the game on Thursday. Didn't like it. But it'll be based on 82 games. One other thing that I think is interesting that I looked at, when you look at Sean Couturier this season, he came in the beginning of the year. I said, look at his game log. I see games where he played 22 minutes a night, 23 minutes a night, 22-23. I see here 23-09, 20-27. And then, I don't know if he's injured or not. I don't. I think he's dealing with something. And at some point, I don't know if it's wear and tear or exhaustion or whatever it is. But around the 12th of February, his minutes really dropped off. In that game against Arizona, he played 15:44. Then after that, 12:53, 16 minutes. The next 3 games, 15 minutes, then 12, 14, 12. He had a 17-minute game, then 13, 14, 11, 13, 10, 11, 10, 26 was scratched twice, played 11 and change last night. In those 19 games that he's played since then, he has got no goals, 4 assists, and he's a minus 16 and has averaged 13 minutes and 56 seconds of ice time. Now, if I go back and I look at the Flyers' schedule, also since the 12th, since that day, the record since then is 8-10-4. I don't know if I'm not blaming one thing or the other, but they kind of coincide with when things started to go a little sideways for the team. You had the trade deadline in there too, and you had the injuries to Drysdale and Sealer, trading of Walker, all that. I get it. But I don't think the two are unrelated either. And it's maybe not just as simple as saying, well, play Couturier 17 or 18 minutes and it'll fix it. I don't know what he's dealing with. And if he's dealing with an injury or just exhausted or whatever it is, I don't know. Just playing him more minutes is penny wise and pound foolish, is what I'm saying. So we'll see where that goes here down the stretch as well. So things are tight. Things are tight here down the stretch. And it'll be judged on the 82. That's how the season will be determined and who goes to the postseason and who doesn't. And look, as I sit here on the 31st of March, I still want – I know I don't like the loss last night. I don't like the loss Thursday. I still want the team to make the playoffs. I think there's still a lot to be gained by making the playoffs. So I'm not just going to get hot take-ish. Boy, did I see a lot of hot takes last night. I have to stay off social media because the hot takes, some of them are just flat out stupid, like ridiculous, dumb hot takes. But whatever. Let's get to the Flyers head coach. John Tortorella addressed the media after the game, and I thought he was pretty blunt. So here's the Flyers head coach.
John, you mentioned way back after the Stadium Series games that the Chicago game, the next game, scared you. With these teams like that, when you have teams that aren't fighting for playoff spots, how do you guys continue to have that same mindset that you guys can get in these games where just these last two games you guys have now faltered against two non-playoff teams? Yeah,
I don't think it's through lack of preparation for them. I think they're ready to play. I mean, I think the most important part of the game tonight was when we crawl back in at 2-1. TK hits the post right after the next shift. We have a power play, a couple of them, which are awful. And then they score their power play, go to up 3-1. The start, I've had the narrative here for the past few games, and I think it's the correct narrative. I don't think we've played badly, but I don't think we played well tonight at all. And for whatever reason, I have no idea. I wish I did. But that's a good old-fashioned drubbing right there. We had a chance to get back in it in that sequence. Power play, I think, deflates us, and they score.
You guys had a good push, really, in the second half of Thursday's game. There were some pushes tonight. Is it something you guys are doing, or is there something you guys can do to finish better, or is it just a matter of bearing down and scoring on the chance?
No, we're not executing. And I try to be honest with you about the game itself that we play. I don't think we've played poorly up until tonight. We sucked tonight. I mean, we didn't execute. We didn't make one play. So maybe that's what needs to be happen. Maybe I think we hit the bottom tonight here. And maybe it needs to happen for us to get back into it. You can't. I think I know Sandy and Yorkie are on fumes. Just watching them play, they're not even thinking correctly. We're going to clear the deck. We got to start again Monday, and hopefully we'll be able to rebound.
You did mention after the Montreal game that you thought fatigue was playing a role. You just mentioned with Sanheim and York. Do you think that this is part of it?
I do. When you see the whole team struggle the way we did tonight, I think that's settled in, and I think we've got some inexperience that has been thrown into this type of situation. But when you see a whole team struggle to make plays, and you watch our power play, our top guys struggle, I think it's there. Yeah, but there are a lot of teams that are tired this time of year. We're certainly making it interesting here. We've got to try to figure it out. We got they're all big games now. We play Monday, and hopefully we can get going.
Is it encouraging to see Tyson get his 20th, especially since you were able to keep Bedard from scoring tonight? Because then Tyson moves up to second.
I don't even think about that. It's nice. You're talking about. I don't even think about that. There are so many other things going on with our club. It's great that he scored. I really don't care if he catches Bedard with goals. It really doesn't matter to me.
You've fallen behind 2-0 a couple times the last couple games, and when you fall behind 2-0 against teams that are below you in standings, do you get a sense that maybe you're pressing just a little bit?
I don't think we're pressing. I thought Tyson, that was a huge play to start the second period to score. what happens if TKs goes in off, instead of off the post? But it's not pressing. I just don't think we played well. We can sit here and talk about it, and what I told you from other games that we've lost, I don't think we've played poorly. I don't think we played well at all tonight.
Is it a mental fatigue? And I guess
I have no idea. I don't have the answer to why we played poorly. If I did, we would have corrected it in between periods. But I don't. But when you see as a group that struggled, I'd have to think we've played a lot of hockey. Has it gotten? I know it's gotten to our 2 top defensemen because we're killing them as far as ice time. And there are some plays that they could make just checking wise that they make all the time, and they're just not there. But when you see your whole team struggle, that has to come into play, I would think, in my head. So we've got to try to get them fresh somehow. Very tough to do this time of year. And just try to get ready to play our next game. Got to push by this one and get ready to play our next game.
Yeah, I guess that's, and there probably isn't a good answer for this, you kind of hinted at it, but if the guys are gassed a little bit, if key guys are, if the whole team is, aside from, cutting down on practice time, which you've already done, what can you do as a coach?
Yeah. See, I want to I think we need to practice. I do. I think that would help some guys. I can't. Because I think it'll come back, and I don't think it'll help us. I wish I had the answer. Are we corrected? But I'm leaving them alone. We'll have our 10 o'clock meeting Monday and get ready to play another very important game for us. And we've just got to get some sort of energy back and some confidence back in our game and not lose our belief. We've worked too hard to get to this spot to play these type of games. Now we got to figure it out. We got to figure out how we get back on the other side of it here.
Kind of a follow-up to that. Does it feel like a ripple effect, like you saying, like there's guys that are getting gas? Does it kind of feel like a ripple effect that when one guy gets there, you're just getting to another guy and another guy, or is it just one of the things that everybody's at the same time hitting that point that it's like you got to push through?
Yeah, you got to remember the prior to the last 2 games, we were playing we were good. We didn't get the points. I felt in that little 7-game segment, I felt we left 2 or 3 points on the board that I thought we deserved, didn't get. But then you play Montreal. I don't think we played poorly in Montreal, but we don't get any momentum, right? We sluggish first period. We just don't get our energy going, and that's what if TK scores, it's 2-2. Maybe our energy takes over, and that's where you get some jump. But when you're constantly trying to crawl back into it and playing in spurts, it's tough to get your energy going. And we not going to beat them up. We'll. I'm not even sure if I'll show them any tape on Monday. Maybe just freshen up and get ready to play another game.
There he is, John Tortorella, addressing the media after last night's loss. Sometimes you don't know exactly why your team is where it is in a season. That's okay. Pretending you have the answers is damaging to a team. Going, okay, what can we do to get through the next game and then have the reset for the final 6 after the Islander game on Monday? You know what you can do for Monday's game? Give the start to Ivan Fedotov. That could be something that provides the juice. And maybe that's exactly what they need. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll preview Flyers Isles. And it'll be Bill Meltzer. It'll be a Monday with Meltzer edition. So join us then. Coming up tomorrow on a brand new Flyers Daily.